This is KVUE News Midday.
A race to avoid a government shutdown. A bill blocked overnight to prevent that from happening. What's now happening today to keep the government running? And a push to protect one of Texas's largest aquifers. How hundreds of abandoned wells could be putting the water supply for more than 2 million Texans at risk. Good morning. I'm Corey Coffin. Thank you for watching KVUE News Midday. Let's start with a look outside this morning and this midday because it is a windy one. Let's check in with Erica Lopez for what we are tracking.
Hey there, Corey. Yeah, windy, but at least that helps cool down the fact that it is way above average and expecting even warmer temperatures this afternoon. Factor in the humidity. We're talking heat index values that will be well into the 90s. As of right now, AVIA at 81, Camp Mabry 81 as well. The dew point's near 70 degrees, so it's a sticky one out there. Temperatures across the hill country, we have plenty of 70, 75 in Fredericksburg, a degree cooler in Blanco, Austin at 81. Few degrees cooler for Georgetown in the upper 70s. Plenty of upper 70s for the eastern counties. So this afternoon, we're actually at least 10 degrees, 10 to 15 degrees above where we were yesterday afternoon. But here's a look at those heat index values that we're expecting close to 100 degrees across the hill country, San Marcos as well. That's going to be the big story this afternoon. Here's the story for the weekend. I know the weekend forecast is important, and we are tracking the threat for some severe weather late Saturday night into Sunday morning. This is what we have so far in terms of severe threats. An enhanced risk issued for the northeastern counties, but a slight risk for the majority of the counties. I'm tracking the greatest threat will be large hail, damaging winds. I'll break down hour by hour as we get into the full forecast and let you know exactly what you guys can expect. But for now, Corey, back to you.
And for now, it is warm outside. Erica, thank you. Today, Congress expected to avoid a government shutdown for at least 1 week. The last-minute vote comes the day before President Trump marks his first 100 days in office. ABC's Kenneth Moten reports as the budget battle wages on.
Tick-tock, the deadline to keep the government open, fast approaching. The House and Senate focus on a $1 trillion plus spending bill. This morning, lawmakers voted on that 1-week extension.
1 week. That's all this bill does. Our constituents expect and deserve better from their elected officials.
House Republicans putting off that new GOP health care plan, at least until next week. The reason? They still don't have the votes.
We're having very productive conversations with our members, and we feel like we're on the right track.
They are in a lose-lose-lose situation. The president is making them walk the plank.
The eve of President Trump's 100-day milestone.
It's a false standard, 100 days, but I have to tell you, I don't think anybody has done what we've been able to do in 100 days.
No legislative victory to his name, but plenty of executive orders, tweets, and political fallout involving Russia and Trump's first national security advisor, Michael Flynn. The president silent about the newest investigation into whether Flynn broke the law for accepting money from a group backed by the Russian government. But Trump's first 100 days had him in reflection mode in an interview with Reuters.
I loved my previous life. I had so many things going. This is more work than in my previous life. I thought it would be easier.
But rallies and addressing friendly crowds, always easy for the president. Trump speaking to the National Rifle Association this afternoon in Atlanta, the first sitting president to attend the NRA's annual meeting since Reagan. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, Washington.
And President Trump plans to sign an executive order today that could lead to the expansion of drilling in the Atlantic and Arctic Oceans. It's called the America First Energy Executive Order. It's part of the administration's push to expand offshore drilling. It's part of Trump's promise to unleash the nation's energy reserves in an effort to reduce dependence on foreign oil and to create jobs. Environmental activists, though, say offshore drilling harms whales and other wildlife. An attorney wants an investigation after Arkansas executed its 4th inmate in 8 days. Here's why. A person who witnessed last night's execution of Kenneth Williams says he convulsed multiple times before he died. His lawyer said certain health issues made the execution exceptionally painful. The governor's office also says it was just an involuntary muscular reaction.
His body lurched forward as though we were trying to describe how to describe it. It was like if you're on a bumpy road and you hit a bump and your body gets thrown forward. It happened about 15 times in quick succession. This is about 4 minutes into the execution.
Now, Williams was imprisoned for murdering a cheerleader. He was put on death row for killing a former deputy warden while trying to escape jail. Arkansas has been in a hurry to schedule 8 executions in the last couple of weeks before its supply of the drug expires on Sunday. All new right here on Midday. Yesterday, Texas joined a 22-state coalition urging the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals to uphold a decision on the constitutionality of legislative prayer. The case is centered on a tradition in Michigan where monthly board meetings begin with a prayer. A 3-judge panel of the 6th Circuit Court ruled 2-1 that the prayers violated the First Amendment. Now, the U.S. Supreme Court declared in 2014 that prayer before governmental meetings is legal as long as it does not discriminate among religions or pressure members to take part. Last month, the 6th Circuit asked to rehear the case. That's 11:05 now, 11:06 at this time. Whole Woman's Health is reopening its Austin location today. The clinic closed in 2013 after then Governor Rick Perry signed a law that required abortions to be performed in hospital-like surgical centers. After that ruling, Whole Women's Health sued over those provisions, and the Supreme Court justices agreed in a ruling last June. It will be providing reproductive health services, including abortion care, up to 15.6 weeks in the pregnancy. It's the first clinic to reopen since that ruling. The Edwards Aquifer provides water to more than 2 million people, and in an effort to protect it, the Aquifer Authority is now trying to close up abandoned wells that could threaten it. The Edwards Aquifer serves an 8-county region, and the EAA knows of more than 300 wells that could be a threat to our water quality, but they don't know exactly how many more wells might be out there. They're asking anyone who might be able to help identify these hidden sites to get involved.
We try to guide people through the whole process. So we do have some programs for where we may plug a well for people who can't afford to plug a well. We may provide some services like camera work to try to determine what the condition of the well is.
Well, contaminants going into abandoned wells aren't the only problem. This abandoned well in southwest San Antonio is completely corroded. This is the type of problem aquifer officials want to find and fix. All new this morning, Austin police are asking for your help finding a missing 81-year-old woman. Sarah Neal Gray, here on your screen, was last seen yesterday about 1 near Burnett Road and Anderson Lane. Officers say they're worried about Gray because of her medical issues. She has gray hair, as you can see there, blue eyes, and she was last seen wearing a black blouse, pants, and shoes. Gray is believed to be driving a tan Buick with a license plate BW5T10. Please call police if you see her. And we have a recall alert for you this midday. Toyota is warning of a threat that could potentially cause accidents. What vehicles are impacted ahead? Plus, reports of a drug-resistant superbug fungus spreading across the United States, and it is deadly. We'll tell you who's at risk.